So yeah, welcome to our Business Availability Services webinar. This is our first in a course of webinars that we're going to be running over the next few weeks. So we have today's, which is on Business Availability Services. We're going to do one on our cloud voice offering and then also on our SD-WAN services. So we'll be in touch with you again when we're moving on to them. So yeah, well, first of all, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Karen Mulvey. I'm one of the business development managers with Viatel. There's a team of 9 of us working together, and I'm sure you've had this invite sent out by your own account manager, so thank you all for joining us. I'd also like to introduce my colleague, Abu Bakr Ali, who is one of our cloud solutions architects here in Viatel. Abu is going to be doing the presentation for us this morning. He comes to us with 10 years experience in establishing best practices for companies' cloud solutions. He has done a lot of his career working for Ericsson and spent the last year and a half here with us on the team in Viatel. I suppose just a little bit of housekeeping before we move on. I would like to let you know that we will be recording this session. So if anybody would like to get a copy of the recording afterwards, we will be making this available and we'll be putting it on our YouTube station as well. So you will have access to it afterwards. Also, as I said at the start, you have all been come onto the webinar muted, but please feel free to ask questions. We really want people to get involved and we don't want to just be talking at you. So if anybody has any questions along the course of this morning, please feel free to just drop it into the meeting chat, and when appropriate then I can just stop Abu and let him know that you have a question. So Abu's presentation is going to take about 30 minutes, and then after that we'll have 10 minutes for questions and answers. And I hope that everybody tries to get involved then. But also we will be doing dedicated one-to-one sessions with anybody who would like that afterwards. I mean, normally that is, I suppose, how we would conduct business, but just, I suppose, with all of us working remotely, we found ourselves that this is probably the way forward for the moment. So, okay, so for those of you who have just joined us now, I see a few more people have jumped on, that's great. We're going to get started now. So just at a very high level, I'll tell you a little bit about Viatel for those of you who don't already know us or haven't done business with us in the past. So Viatel are an Indigenous Irish company. We've been in business for 21 years now. And over this time, we're proud to be trusted technology partners to many, many businesses throughout Ireland. A lot of those who would have their network across the entire 32 counties of Ireland into the UK and also spanning across Europe. We would manage their networks for them. We are very proud to be guaranteed Irish company, and we're trusted by our customers, and also very proud to have been awarded the Cloud Partner of the Year at the Tech Awards. And also we recently got our platinum status with the Deloitte Best Managed Company. Actually, we just managed to get that in before we went on lockdown, because I think that took place just a few days before that happened. So we're very proud to be part of the Deloitte Best Managed company. Also, well, we are experts in providing connectivity, voice, cloud and security solutions to our customers. And we do believe that it's our customer first approach is why we've been successful in maintaining our relationships with our customers for many, many years. We also have our own NOC, which is based in our headquarters in Blanchardstown, and this is manned 365 days a year on a 24/7 basis. Yes, so yeah, well, that's basically a little bit about us. As you're aware, data can be lost in a variety of different ways, whether it's through hardware failure, error or security breach. And Abu will now talk you through our solutions to mitigate or even eliminate these detrimental effects to your business in our backup as a service and DR presentation. So I'll pass you over to Abu now. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Karen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I hope you find this webinar informative and a good use of your time. So my name is Abu. I work as a solution architect in Viatel, and today I'm here to discuss with you why you want to discover business availability, and not only why you want to discuss business availability, but also what kind of recent challenges that we see when it comes to how you can protect your data. So let me start with these figures, because I think it's very easy to quantify the problem and understand why everybody needs to consider how they can protect their data. A recent report that was put by a federal agency in US found that 40% of the organizations who go through disaster never reopen. And this could be due to different reasons. One of them is data loss. 15% 15% who open, they fail within 2 years, either because of brand damage or because they have lost a very sensitive data, financial or legal information or customer information. So they forced to close within 2 years. So actually, this is very alarming and really warning statistics. That's why it's very important for all organizations, whether you are a small company or large multinational organization, your business is increasingly exposed to internal and external threats. That could be, for example, people accidentally deleting files, or maybe hardware or software failures, or more increasingly these days, cyber attacks, being like ransomware who can attack your data and hijack it. So it's very vital for businesses' resiliency to consider how they can protect their data. So my presentation today will focus on those three major, let's say, themes. And this is actually the most 3 points that when I always discuss business availability services with our customers, those are the top kind of pain points or agenda that's being highlighted. The first one is about security. How you can make sure the data that you are backing up, your backup files, are secure. They are out of reach of hackers, and you can always rely on those backup files to recover and restore if your business has been under a cyber attack. And the second one is, okay, with the increasing complexity in system, and how you can make sure that your business availability, backup, and disaster recovery practices will allow for your business growth, and how you can make sure that they are easy to use and simple, with and that you can really run them with a minimum management overhead. Just given the current situation that we are in right now, how you can make sure that while all your IT administrators are working from home, how you can make sure that you can still have access your backup solution, and that it does what it's supposed to do under these situations, is that protecting your data. The last theme will be about how you can also make sure that your backup and disaster recovery solutions extends to not only cover your legacy systems that is stored in your data centers, but also protects those business critical files and information and emails that could sit in a SaaS applications. And I will focus on Office 365 being one of the major applications that are increasingly rising use these days. Okay, so let me start with this slide, just to emphasize on that. While everybody is now driving a national and an international fight against COVID-19, another fight is going on there, and that malicious cyber actors are continually adjusting their tactics to take advantage of new situations, and the COVID-19 pandemic is no exception. They are actually using the high appetite of our COVID-19 related information as an opportunity, of course, to drive profits for them, and to distribute a lot of malware and ransomware applications and steal information. They are actually attacking everybody, individuals, small organizations, and large organizations. Just a recent report that was published a couple of weeks before, it's talking about, the report was actually published jointly by the United Kingdom National Cybersecurity and the United States Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency. They both warned from an increasing level of malicious cyber attacks, exploiting the current COVID-19 pandemic for their own objectives. They are targeting, as I said, individuals, small organizations, and big organizations as well, by spreading phishing emails or COVID-19 related information that leads people to click on phishing emails and then deploy those malicious information as well. One of the major things that we are seeing, sorry, if you can just go to the back slide, because I just want to highlight very important thing here. They are also exploiting with the massive move to the home working, those attackers are also exploiting a variety of public known vulnerabilities in our VPNs, in our remote desktops, and all the remote communication tools that are using. One of the things that have been highlighted in that report is that they are actually circulating a lot of files that seems to be very popular to us, like Zoom files and Microsoft Teams files that are that could be very familiar to your users. So they click on the link, they download that file, and then suddenly you find all your data is hijacked, right? So just to give a bit of examples, this is the research that was put by that was done for United States, but I think it is still very relevant because it says that just during March, that the amount of malicious URLs that has a COVID-19 related information has doubled more than 2 times and a half. And I'm just giving you here a couple of phishing emails, right, on how those malicious actors can attack. And this Ireland is no exception to this, and we all remember maybe the mass scale spam attack that was done for Aer Lingus, trying to spread scam email and claiming that they are overflight voucher because of their 80-year anniversary. So no business is away from this, and actually it's very important to know that under such kind of tough situations as the pandemic 19 and the COVID-19 pandemic times that we are passing through, these type of activities are actually escalating in scope and scale as well. So that's the problem. So how you can address this problem? If there is a single thing that you want to do today before tomorrow, is to make sure that you have an offline backup, and this is what we called an air gapping your backup. And by air gapping your backup means that you need to make sure that you have a second copy of your backup that's air-bagged. Air-bagged means that it is stored in offline, offsite storage that that cyber attackers will have no access to. So that second copy of your backup files remain unaffected should any incident impact your live environments. That's being a cyber attack on any kind of other incidents. And cloud backup is a very good candidate for that one because it's a completely separate infrastructure. It doesn't belong to your network, so it's completely network. It's a completely different network. It's fully managed. It's fully secure as well. And at the same time, it's used a completely different authentication mechanism. So even if those attackers were able to steal your system credentials, they will not be able to log into your cloud-based backup files and delete them, because the way that ransomware attack works is that they start to deploy those malicious softwares, right? And then they stay there in your network, crawling around your system and your network, trying to delete all the restore points. and identify any file extension that seems to be like a backup file or a copy file. So they make sure that whenever they launch the malicious attack, you have no other resource than just paying them so they can release your data. And a good way to deploy this offline backup strategy is to follow a simple yet powerful rule, which we call 3-2-1. And this is based on the best practices in the industry. And it's mainly saying that you need to make sure that at each given point in time that you are having at least 3 copies of your critical information or critical data. The primary data, maybe a local copy of a local backup copy, and then a second copy that you can again keep air gapped offline, offsite. So the more you increase the barriers between your offline backup and your live environments, the more you make it harder for cyber criminals to reach those backups and delete them. It's not only that one, because in Viatel, our cloud-based backup is also offering a very unique feature, which is called data immutability. And in this case, we are trying to also bridge that very little probability that even if those cyber criminals were able to hijack your backup files, login credentials, they will not be able to delete those files, because once we move them to our clouds, we lock them. So they will not be able to have the access to delete those files. So you make sure that you always have those files safe sitting there. And if there is like any need for you to restore from the clouds, they are always sitting there waiting for you. So in the next slide, I'm just going through a very level high architecture of how Viatel Backup as a Service looks like from a very high level point of view. And as you can see, it's the way that you can look at it, it's a very natural extension for your on-prem backup infrastructure. So we can integrate your backup infrastructure to our cloud. And I'm just going to give you a very view visualization of how the overall backup flow will look like. So if we just clicked on that one, you will see that this is your primary files being backed up locally to your storage. And you still need to have a local storage, because you want to make sure that you have a local backup copies that you can quickly recover from. So you reduce your RTO times. How we can help you in Viatel is that we can extend that setup by moving a second copy of your backup to our cloud and lock it there. So we make sure that in very unfortunate situation where you have lost your primary data, where you have lost your backups because of data corruption or ransomware or something like that, you still have a very secure backup of your data stored offsite, offline, and that you can use that backup files to recover your business. So so I thought to put this slide just to have a very general discussions and how we see the differences between cloud and tape-based backup system. If there is like one thing that I don't want to do in this slide is I don't want to tell you that cloud is better than tapes or tapes is better than cloud, because what I have learned through my experience is that each and every technology will fit a different purpose. So it's very essential to work with a partner who can really understand your business requirements and who can really advise on how you can leverage different technologies to address different use cases. However, I just thought to put 3 points, and those 3 points are mainly coming out when I'm discussing with customers who are facing maybe challenges with their tape-based drives, and they were thinking of moving to the cloud. And just think about it. If you were to deploy a tape-based backup system, it's sizable investments. You probably need to invest a lot to just have the system set up and purchase all those tapes and so on. But it doesn't stop here, because even just managing and administrating the backup process from day to day is very cumbersome, and it needs maybe resources dedicated to that as well. So all that adds to your total cost of ownership. And again, like, it requires a lot of manual intervention. Just think about it. Just to send somebody to your production site or your off-site storage facility, just to rotate tapes, to taking backups, or to do a manual restoration of a file. Those kind of things can be challenging, especially in such situations that we are living nowadays with the limited restrictions. Also keep in mind that if you are, for example, hosting your infrastructure in one of those popular data centers, most of those data centers would have applied like a restriction to their access. So suddenly you will find yourself isolated. You cannot manage your backup, right? And you cannot manage your backup at the time where you most need your backup, right? So just think about it. And if you think there is like a gap in your backup based solution, then don't be afraid to take a hybrid model there. We are not saying that it's not about revolution, it's about an evolution. You just want to see like what kind of gaps that you have in your business availability strategy, and then based on that, try to grab the different components of technology that can really address those gaps. And if
So
yeah.
sorry, Abu, we actually have a couple of questions that are coming in there. So one person has asked us there, is the solution only for Veeam?
Yeah, so our backup as a service solution is powered by Veeam. Yes, that's right. So, but we are not limited to that one, because even if like we have a couple of engagements where customers preferred to hold on to their existing backup software, and we can still provide an infrastructure as a service. We can still provide that piece of offline storage that you can easily integrate to your software of choice, and you can still have that air gap backup. The only difference is that if you are using Veeam, that would be a much easier process, because it will be a fully integrated. You make sure that it's fully compatible. But if you are using your own software, then it will, like, we can over the storage piece, and then it will be your responsibility to make sure that the backups are transferred smoothly from your on-prem backup infrastructure to our cloud. So yes, we can help in both cases.
Okay, and just one more there. Our business, Fiontar Group, is an SME using Google G Suite for everything, not 365. We have no on-site backup on site. Also, all equipment we use in the business is iOS and Apple, not PC. Will the backup offered by Viatel cover this?
So, so the backup that we are offering right now is mainly focusing on servers, because we believe that most of the business critical informations and business critical applications are running on those servers.
Okay.
So we focus on protecting your core business servers as well. We can look at how we can provide endpoint protection if you want to also protect your users' laptops that's being Windows based or iMac. This is something that we can definitely look at. But as out of the shelf, we are focusing, because actually this is what we see from the market. Most of the people want to focus on protecting, because it's a kind of trend in the market right now. Nobody wants their end users to save files locally because of compliance and business availability reasons. You would like all your users to make sure that they are centralizing all those business critical information in a central unit that everybody can have an access to, and they can collaborate to deliver the business and so on. So driven by this kind of trend in the market, we find to see that most of our customers are mainly interested on how they can protect their servers.
Yeah.
If you are using Google Suite for now, our Viatel solution for now, and I'm saying for now because this is a quite evolving domain and area as well. But for now, we are mainly we are mainly supporting Office 365. This is the only SaaS that we are supporting at the point. But don't be afraid to talk to us. We might find a way that we can customize something to also cover your Google account as well.
Yeah. Well, sure, we can take that again offline as well, maybe do a one-to-one session. And then just there's one more there as well. Is this for Windows servers only? Do you back up IBM Power Series?
So the beauty of the solution is that it has nothing to do with the hardware, and it actually cover most of well-known operating system and hypervisors as well. So if you are running bare metals based on Windows, old version of Windows, or any distribution of the Linux, we can still provide our backup as a service. If you have a more modern type of architecture where you are using hypervisors that's being VMware or Hyper-V, this is even much easier for us because we can leverage all the capabilities that your hypervisor has, like taking snapshots for your whole VMs and send it to our cloud. So
oh yeah, they said okay, that's great. They have Windows Hyper-V, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sure, we'll carry on and we can take more questions again at the end.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. So going on from the backup, and I think this is one of the major questions that I have always been asked by our customers is like, so what's the difference between backup and disaster recovery? And I thought I just put this very simple diagram to show you that what's mainly the difference from the business perspective when you consider backup and disaster recovery solutions. So disaster recovery, in my own perspective, is a more involved solution. It doesn't only cover the technology. It reuses most of the building blocks that we have been talking about, being that offline storage, that's ease of integration with your on-prem backups, that's being able to securely store the files offline. It's just leverage all those technology building blocks, but it also adds two major things into that, which is the process. And I can give you a very recent example of an engagement that I have been part with, where we were helping one of the leading pharmaceutical companies here in Ireland to address their disaster recovery needs. And because they are keeping a lot of explosive materials in their premises, they want to make sure that if there is like any kind of hazard or risk and people are not allowed to enter their premises, they still have the capability to access those business critical applications and data, and they can still be in contact with their customers, with their suppliers. They can still run some, maybe continue their operation as well. So you can clearly see how disaster recovery is just expanding the scope. It's not only making that data safe, but also make that data accessible from different for people who might be now working from homes, and also adding that network resiliency as well. If people cannot be on your local corporate, how they can VPN, for example, to that data. And I think in Viatel we are very well positioned because it's not only like we are not only experts in cloud, but we are also coming from the network background as well. So we are in a very good position to leverage on both technologies and deliver a fit for purpose customer tailored solution for you. And it's all about the people as well, right? It's all about the people, the know-how, the people who can, like we have developed our own methodology here that we can, that takes our customer through the journey on how they should think about their disaster recovery, trying to make sure that we address all those requirements, not only for the solution design phase, but also to make sure that we come up with a disaster recovery plan that ensure if there is like any disaster hitting your primary production site, you will be able to fail over smoothly and make sure that your end users will remain to have access to your critical application. The beauty of that one is that all this is coming as in a pay-as-you-go model. So if you were to compare this with the traditional approach of doing it yourself.
Yeah, we actually have a question there as well. Another question: do we have a CapEx cost to move onto the Viatel cloud platform?
No, it's a completely OpEx model. It's a
Yeah.
completely OpEx model, and I think this is the beauty of it. Because if you were to think about how you would do a disaster recovery solution in the traditional way, do it yourself way, then you have to have a lot of capex investments in just preparing a standby facility. Make sure that it's up to the standards, the ventilations, the power. It has the redundancy in the power, the networking, and so on. And then you have to put again a huge amount of money to just replicate your hardware and your storage to the standby site, and then put a lot of investments as well. If you are using VMware as well, you have to purchase another license for the VMware. And just bear in mind, like all that kind of investments will be hanging out there, and you will just be, paying all those recurring licenses and keep evolving your standby infrastructure as well, and it's just too much burden for the business. So the way that we are doing it is that why take all that burden? We already have the cloud. We already have a 24/7 NOC team who can give you the support, right? So we leverage on the economies of scale and make sure that you have a tight SLA. And this is a very important point, is that we are wrapping all those capabilities, being the technology, the business, the people, our expertise. We tied all those capabilities with a very we wrap all those capabilities with a very tight SLA to make sure that you have some sort of insurance policy that if anything went wrong with your primary site, you will be in position to fail over and continue operation. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, feel free to keep asking the questions as we go along. So yeah, we'll just go back to this now. Abu?
Perfect. So I'm not going to repeat this one, but this is
Yeah,
again just to
yeah, because
give
I'm
you
conscious
a
of time
very
now, I suppose, as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
keep going.
exactly. This is just to give you a very high level architecture of how our disaster recovery solution. Again, you can think about it, it's like an extension for your production site. The only difference here is that we are not only offering the storage, but also the compute and networking piece. So if we just clicked on there, what we do is that we are actually replicating your VMs to our cloud. So all those VMs will sit there in idle mode, waiting for a disaster to happen or any kind of failures in your failover, and then we can trigger a failover. We can just awoke those VMs, so they move from a sleeping mode to awake mode, and then again the one thing that this picture fails to address is that we can also help with the networking part to just to not only make sure that your data is available, but also it's accessible for the users. So it's more than the cloud services. It's also about providing professional services and consultancy, talking to all your third parties and all your partners to make sure that everybody is agreeing on that disaster recovery plan. So now I have covered why security matters, and I have also covered why you want to consider a solution that easy to manage and easy to scale. Now, I will finish with this Office 365 because I think this is one of the very important topics that a lot of customers talking about these days. And I think the number one question that I always get is that why do I need to back up my Office 365, right? I thought it's already in the cloud, and I thought already Microsoft is taking care of this. And I think it's very important to understand exactly what Microsoft is responsible for and what the responsibility falls on your business as owner of the data set that lives in Microsoft 365. And to kick off that, let's just look at this shared responsibility model. And this model is just trying to explain what kind of things that you should expect from Microsoft Office 365 and what kind of responsibilities that are still fall on you, on your business or your IT organization as a owner of that data. So Microsoft responsibility is mainly about making sure that the infrastructure, the service is always up and running. They provide a basic level of retention, but it doesn't actually rise to the level where it can comply with most of the legislation and regulation in the market. They make sure that the infrastructure is secure logically and physically, the CCTVs and everything. They make sure their data centers are secure, ventilated, and powered, and so on. But they don't touch your data. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you have a full ownership and control on how you secure your data and how you provide long-term and short-term retention for all those urgent and important emails and files people share in the Google, in the Drive and so on. If we just click on that one, I just want to give you an example of of ransomware. And by the way, Office 365 is not an exception. It's still exposed to those malware and vulnerabilities as well. Like you can easily get an email that's sent to your users and ask them to click an email, like any one of those phishing emails. They click on that email, and out of the sudden, all their inbox is encrypted. So just to summarize that, without backing up your Office 365, you're actually having retention policy gaps, because what you get from Microsoft is very limited. You are still exposed to all those internal and external threats, right? Being like an accident deletion or a ransomware attacking your inboxes or your OneDrive or SharePoints. And again, most probably you are not up to speed when it comes to the meeting the regulation needs and compliance. So again, a very high level of how we do this. And I think one point that I want to highlight here is that the solution is very powerful, and it can also cover your on-prem Exchange service, because what we tend to see is that most of the customers are using a hybrid model where they have some of their data stored in the Office 365 online Office 365, and the others are still hosted on-prem. So if you are in this kind of transition mood, still we can provide you a unified backup solution that covers both your SaaS part and your on-prem Exchange as well. I want to leave you with this slide. If you can just move to the last slide, and I hope up to this point I was able to highlight why security matters and why having a robust solution, a robust backup solution, can be a good mitigation and a defense mechanism against ransomware. And actually, I encourage you to think about our backup as a service as also a ransomware protection as a service as well. It's a very good strategy. It's very good, affordable way. You have already invested on all those firewalls and so on. Why not you also invest in having an offline backup that you ensure that when all your defense mechanisms fall, you still have a last resort to restore your data and backup online. I hope that I have also highlighted why cloud backup is a very good candidate for future growth and management, and how it can really address all those uncertain situations where your IT staff and administrators, they have no access to the data centers. The beauty of this is that because it's a cloud based, so you leverage on all economies of scale of the cloud, and we can easily pass all those soft cost savings to you. So it's a very cost effective when it comes. It's a completely pay as you go. It's an OpEx model, no upfront investments. And one of our unique selling points is that we don't charge customers for transferring data in and out. And this is what you tend to find most of the public cloud service providers do, which adds a lot of unpredictability your end of month bill. We don't do this way. We have a very transparent pricing model that makes sure that you have a full predictability on your IT expenditures.
Yeah, I see somebody that actually put that up there just on our little chat saying no CapEx, pure OpEx as a service model. So yeah, that's correct. As Abu has just covered there, I suppose. So yeah, it is pure OpEx, and yeah, our USP is the no ingress and egress charges. So you do, you can kind of budget for what your backup is going to cost you, rather than having bill shock that you may have from some other cloud providers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was great. I hope everybody found that informative. Thank you, Abu. It was very, very good. And thank you to all of you who joined us. It was great to have such a good audience here this morning. I suppose this is all very new to us here in Viatel. We're very much a face-to-face kind of company, and we like to get out in front of our customers. But I suppose we have to change with the times, and this is the world that we're living in for the moment and maybe for the next few weeks again. So we just wanted to let you know that we're still here. We wanted to be able to reach out to you, and because a lot of our customers have been on to us about our cloud backup and DUR services, that's where we decided to start running these courses. So yeah, I just like to thank you all for being here. And oh, I see we do have another question there. Is there an option for laptops using Veeam client to back up to Viatel? Abu.
Yeah, I think this is something that we can do as long as you have Veeam agents or a local VPR that we can integrate to. That should be possible. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Sorry, I just want to thank everybody for being here. As Karen said, that we are face to face usually. So we usually meet our customer face to face. So it was a bit new experience for all of us. But I'm really looking forward to take that conversation with all of you if you think this is something that you would be interested in, and try to again, personalize those use cases to better fit your business. So
yeah, so I suppose that is next steps now. I mean, all of you are here. Please feel free to reach out to myself or your if you have your own dedicated account manager in Viatel, reach out to them. They'd be delighted to help you. And then yeah, we'll do one-on-one sessions with you and come up with a bespoke solution. So I just yeah, I don't think there's any more questions there. So yeah, and we're 3 minutes over, so I think that's not too bad for our first webinar. So yeah, thank you all again for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.